What's up, YouTube? OptoInfo back with another weekly video. Hey, how do patients always know which eye they're having PVD in? Are they justified in saying, yeah, I got a PVD in my right eye? I don't think so. I think they just get lucky. You know, because some patients will come in with a right homonymous defect and say, yeah, I can't see out of my right eye. The same could be true for a PVD with the flashes and floaters. Not so much the floaters. I'm really talking about the flashes here. Because the flashes they're seeing is a type of entoptic phenomenon known as a pressure phosphene, and those can't readily be assigned to a particular eye, the eye of origin, unless it occurs in the temporal visual field crescent. And I'm going to explain that. First, I'm going to back up a second and talk about just entoptic phenomenons. Entoptic phenomenon, ENT means within, optic, sort of within the eye. So within the eye, visual stimulus within the eye. There's several different types. I got a list of them pulled up here from Google. Refractive types, diffraction, shadows. This is just floaters. The Purkinje tree, got an awesome video on the Purkinje tree. You'll blow people's minds with that, including your own, if you do it at a slit lamp. If you do it at a slit lamp, it is unbelievable. The other stuff's sort of like, oh, that's cool. At the slit lamp, it's unbelievable. Don't forget to cover the eye, turn the lights off. Okay, xanthophyll effects, the Maxwell spot's pretty cool. I could do a video on that. The blue, I skipped the blue field. Blue field's pretty cool too. I've got to do that. Anyhow, we get the pressure phosphenes. Which of these is the pressure phosphene that we're seeing with the flashes from PVD? Moore's lightning strikes, or Moore's lightning flashes. It was this dude, something Moore, described it in the 1930s and 40s, and he did a pretty good job without having much data of describing this phenomenon. Anyhow, when you have a pressure phosphene, you can't tell which eye it is necessarily. You can't tell which eye it's originating from necessarily. Look, let me show you why. I'm gonna do first. You got to know what the visual field is. You got to be familiar with the visual field. So here's a visual field of one eye. This is the right eye. Okay, here's the right eye looking out, fixating on the crosshairs there. You've got 60 degrees up, left, and down, and then temporarily you've got 100 degrees. Okay, a visual field. Here's an on-phos view of it. You're looking in the center, you got 30 degrees all the way around. There's your blind spot, about 15 degrees temporally. I'm sorry, you got 60 degrees all the way around. And then you have this monocular temporal crescent. Okay, there's no overlap here. Let me draw that for you. I think I can make it more clear. So let's say we've got binocular fixation on that target there. X marks the spot. Our left eye visual field may look something like that, you know, and we've got 60 degrees all the way around this X with extra visual field out temporally. Let's draw the right eye. May look something like that. These are just rough drawings, obviously. The point is, with binocular fixation, we've got overlap in our visual field. It's like a Venn diagram. So if the pressure phosphene or the entoptic phenomenon occurs in that overlap, you don't know which eye to assign it to. And I can demonstrate that. If you can do this with me now. If you push right here, you know, in between your orbital wall, lateral orbital wall, and then your eyeball, you'll experience a pressure phosphene. I can see a negative scotoma or a black circle right here. Right here. You're going to play the opposites game with the eye. If you poke temporally, you're going to see the thing nasally. But you may say, oh yeah, okay, that's my right eye. But look, if you gently close, if you don't smash, because then you can't even poke your eyeball anymore. You've got so much tissue in between you and the eye. Gently close, do the same thing. I see that same black spot up here. And if I didn't have the cue or clue of actually poking my right eye, I would think this is a scotoma in my left eye. I think, oh, my left eye's got a scotoma over here. You know, after all, my right eye is closed. Okay, so this could be the case with a PVD, with the flashes from a PVD. But the patients are lucky. They're lucky in that it almost always is described as occurring in the temporal periphery, the far temporal periphery, in this temporal crescent. Draw a lightning strike. That's where they see it. It actually looks more like this, right? And so they get lucky, and so do we, because honestly, it's hard. If they came in saying, "Hey doc, guess which eye I'm having a PVD," and I'd probably get it wrong more times than I'd like to admit. Just because you see a remnant of a Weiss ring doesn't mean they're having acute symptomatic PVD. Anyhow, so we both get lucky, both the patient and the practitioner, we get lucky that these things present with symptoms in that temporal crescent, okay? And we can demonstrate this too. If you, instead of poking on the temporal side, poke on the nasal side, okay? It's a little bit more difficult over here. Use my fingernail a little bit and sort of stare off. There we go. Now I can see that. Clear as day, right here. Okay, now if I close the eye I'm poking, it almost disappears. It's really hard to appreciate now. Open, there it is, clear as day. In that temporal crescent. The right temporal crescent with my eye closed is gone now, and I can't see it. But if I open up that right temporal crescent, and boom, that pressure phosphene's still there. Okay, so that's how that works. And this has some other applications. For example, I saw a patient with MUDs in the hospital, and they came in, and one of their biggest concerns was the stuff I'm seeing in my right eye, I'm appreciating now in my left eye. I think I'm having bilateral involvement now. But I talked to her more about it. She was describing a shimmering scotoma, which you can see in MUDs. She also had the classic fundus appearance. She was experiencing it sort of right here, within the overlap. I would say about right here, sort of like an enlarged blind spot, right? And she was just a very observant. She was just a very observant patient, and could, when she closed the affected eye, sort of saw a similar effect in the far nasal periphery, just about where you would expect the blind spot to be in the affected eye. Because you know the left eye, and what's in blue here, makes up for the blind spot of the green eye. Okay, so that would make sense that they could appreciate this type of entoptic phenomenon, whatever inflammation is going on with this white dot syndrome that we don't know anything about. Whatever's going on there is similar to a pressure phosphene that you see here with visual pressure, or with the Moore's lightning strikes. Okay, so it's cool. So now you know that, you can apply that clinically. And plus it's just fun to learn this kind of stuff. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, and why do these things happen in the temporal periphery? And is it always in the temporal periphery? Well, first off, why? We don't know. Nobody knows. There is some asymmetry. Maybe it has to do with the asymmetry of the vitreous. You know, for example, you have tight adhesion to the disc, and the disc is located nasally within the eye. So there's your asymmetry. But how does that translate into causing the temporal periphery lightning strikes? I don't know. Nobody knows that. And then, is it always temporally? The first Moore, when he first described it, said it's never nasally. And I don't think that's true. I found an article by this guy Veerhoff, who addresses this, tries to address it, and he actually had it, and he was an eye doc, and he said that he could see it in perpendicular to whichever direction he looked. So if he looked right, he saw a temporal crescent in the far periphery. If he looked left, he saw it fainter, but in the nasal periphery. If you looked up, superiorly and inferiorly, same thing. So I don't think it is always in the temporal side. I think it can be in any direction, but it's more easily noticed, I bet, in that or it's more pronounced for whatever reason. Again, we don't understand the mechanism in that temporal periphery. So next time you see a patient with a PVD, which we see all the time, ask them, hey, can you see it nasally? Maybe if you're like me, flip the lights off and say, hey, what about now? Look nasally, look nasally, look nasally. see if you can get them to appreciate it nasally. And when that occurs, then I bet you can get them, you could question them, see, are you sure it's in the right eye? You know, then you could probably get them to doubt themselves. But luckily for them and for us, it comes in 99% of the time, the temporal periphery. They've guessed right, they guessed correctly, and we're guided to do a thorough exam in that particular eye that they guessed correctly. And so, cool. Got a couple more videos coming up in the near future I think y'all like. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment. If you know more about this than I do, which, you know, a good chance that that's the case, you know, leave it in the comments. I appreciate it. See y'all next week. Peace.